The twin species. What if Neanderthals never went extinct? Part 1. The human mirror and the great coexistence. Chapter 1. The human mirror. We have been taught to see them as brutish, dim-witted cavemen, a failed version of the human experiment that was destined to be replaced by us. But as we peel back the layers of history and look into the mirror of our own DNA, we find a terrifying truth. Everything we thought we knew was wrong. Neanderthals weren't primitive. They were a different kind of genius, possessing larger brains and bodies built for a level of resilience we can barely imagine. Imagine a world where you aren't the only species of human in the room. What if your best friend, your boss, or your spouse belonged to a completely different branch of the evolutionary tree? Today, we are exploring a genetic mystery hidden in the ruins of a modern Neanderthal city, a secret that reveals more about our future than our past. But to understand the world of 2024 with two human species, we first have to go back to the moment we almost lost each other. Chapter 2. The Great Coexistence. In the history you know, a brutal cold snap 40,000 years ago wiped the Neanderthals out, leaving Homo sapiens as the lonely masters of the planet. But in this timeline, the climate takes a different turn. A massive series of volcanic eruptions in the Atlantic creates a warm corridor through the heart of Europe. Instead of fighting for the last scraps of food in a frozen wasteland, the two species are forced into a symbiotic alliance. We brought the abstract language and the stamina for long-distance running. They brought the incredible spatial memory and the raw power required to hunt the giants of the Ice Age. We didn't replace them, we joined them. Picture the first mixed tribe, two different species sitting around the same fire, sharing a mammoth steak. Did they look at each other with fear, or with the profound relief of finally finding someone else who truly understood the world? This alliance is the foundation of a world that is twice as rich and twice as complex as our own. Chapter 3. Two brains, one world. How does a Neanderthal actually see the world? Scientific research suggests they possessed massive visual cortexes, meaning they essentially saw the world in high definition, while we were stuck in standard definition. They could track a bird through the thickest forest just by noticing the slight, rhythmic rustle of a single leaf. Imagine a modern office in this timeline. Your Neanderthal coworker doesn't need a GPS. They have a perfect 3D mechanical map of the entire city burned into their brain. But while they are visual geniuses, they might struggle with your long-winded, abstract PowerPoint presentations. And here is the pattern break that would change every social interaction you've ever had. Neanderthals have a much more acute sense of smell than we do. In this world, you can't lie in a meeting. You're human. Charm won't save you if your pheromones are telling everyone in the room that you're terrified or stressed. It is a world where truth is biological, and you are always an open book. Chapter 4. The Bronze Age Redefined. Because Neanderthals possess incredible upper body strength, the very history of architecture in this world is rewritten. They don't need the complex pulleys and cranes we invented to compensate for our physical weakness. The Bronze Age cities of this timeline look like they were built by a race of giants. Imagine walking down a street in ancient Rome where the doorways are twice as wide as they are in our history, and the buildings are made of massive stone blocks, perfectly fitted without a drop of mortar. The pyramids weren't a centuries-long struggle. They were a weekend project for a mixed sapien Neanderthal construction crew. In this world, we don't build disposable things. We build for 10,000 years, creating a sense of permanence and legacy that defines the very soul of the continent. Everything feels solid. Everything feels permanent. Part 2. The Great Species Wars and the Genetic Bridge. Chapter 5. The 1500s. Heavy Infantry versus Light Cavalry. In our history, the warfare of the 16th century was a transition from knights to gunpowder. But in a world shared with Neanderthals, the battlefield looks entirely different. Imagine the great species wars of the 1500s. On one side, a sapien army utilizes the human advantages, agility, light cavalry, and long-range archers. On the other side, the Neanderthal forces don't even bother with horses. They are the ultimate heavy infantry. They carry shields that no arrow can pierce and wield hammers capable of crushing a steel helmet like an eggshell. This creates a terrifying, high-stakes dynamic. While we could outrun them, we could never outpower them in a direct clash. Every battle was a desperate puzzle of speed versus strength. Does this make you wonder who would eventually win? Or would the cost of war simply become too high for both sides? Chapter 6. The Delicate Dance of Diplomacy. Because neither side could truly eliminate the other, history became a delicate dance of diplomacy. We possessed the numbers and the reproductive speed, but they possessed the individual power and stability. Every treaty signed in this world was a balance between sapiens' ambition and Neanderthal caution. Imagine a royal wedding in the Middle Ages, not between two noble families, but between two different species to secure a border. This isn't just politics, it's a biological merger. This is where the relatability effect hits home. Would you see the other as a brother or as a rival? In this world, the line between us and them was blurred by necessity long before it was blurred by love. Chapter 7. The Genetic Secret. But wait a minute. If we've been living and intermarrying for 40,000 years, are we even two different species anymore? There is a secret hidden in the Neanderthal cities of our contemporary era, a genetic mystery that explains why some individuals are born with the sight. This is an ability to process visual information faster than any modern computer, a direct gift from our Neanderthal ancestors. We are about to dive into the reality of a modern world with two human species, but first, we have to talk about the machines. Because when the Industrial Revolution arrived, it wasn't built for us. Part 3. The High-Strength Revolution. Chapter 8. Tools Built for Giants. In our present reality, the Industrial Revolution was designed for the human hand. But in this timeline, factories are built for a species with 4 times the grip strength of a sapien. Imagine walking onto a factory floor where the levers are made of solid steel beams, and the tools weigh 50 pounds each. For a sapien worker, these machines are impossible to operate. This creates a massive pattern break in our understanding of labor. In this world, Neanderthals are the natural masters of the industrial age. They don't get tired the way we do, and they don't get bored with repetitive tasks because their brains are wired for deep, focused flow states. Chapter 9. The Sapiens Dilemma. Does this mean sapiens became second-class citizens? As the heavy work moved to the Neanderthals, our species was forced to pivot. We became the creative class, the poets, the abstract mathematicians, and the strategists. The emotional anchor. Here is the tension of being physically outmatched in your own society. While we designed the systems, they were the ones who actually built the world. This creates a unique socioeconomic divide where physical power is highly valued, but abstract thought is the currency of the elite. This world is faster, more efficient, and far more durable than ours, but it's a world where you always know your physical limits. Chapter 10. The Architecture of Legacy. Because of this Neanderthal influence, the modern world isn't disposable. Our history is filled with buildings designed to last 50 years, but in a world with Neanderthals, we build legacies. Everything, from our skyscrapers to our bridges, is built to last 10,000 years. The materials are heavier, the foundations are deeper, and the aesthetic is one of permanent majesty. Imagine a New York City where the skyscrapers are reinforced with massive stone blocks, and the infrastructure feels as solid as a mountain. It's a world that values the future more than the quarterly profit. Part 4. 2 Species, 1 Metro. Chapter 11. The Subways of New York. Picture a modern subway car in New York City today. Half the seats are twice as wide and reinforced with steel to accommodate the 250-pound muscular frames of our Neanderthal neighbors. The lighting is significantly dimmer than in our world. Because Neanderthals have superior night vision, our bright lighting is actually painful for them. This is the relatability effect of a shared space. You go to a restaurant, and there are two distinct menus. One for sapiens, heavy on grains and sugars, and one for Neanderthals, focused on high protein and raw options. You see interspecies couples holding hands, one tall and lithe, the other short, stocky, and immensely powerful. It's not a perfect world, and there are still sapiens' first political movements, but it is a world that is twice as rich because it has two ways of being human. Chapter 12. The Truth in the Air. In this contemporary era, social interactions are governed by a biology we can't control. Remember, Neanderthals have a much more acute sense of smell. In a business meeting or on a first date, you can't lie. Your pheromones tell the story of your stress, your attraction, or your fear long before you speak a word. This pattern break has made the world more honest. Human charm and manipulation don't work if the person across from you can literally smell your nervous sweat. This has led to a society built on radical transparency. It's harder to be a politician, but it's much easier to find a true friend. Chapter 13. The Flow State Culture. Because of the Neanderthal ability to enter deep flow states, the pace of life in this world is different. There is less multitasking and more deep work. When a Neanderthal is focused on a task, the rest of the world disappears. This has influenced our entire global culture. We value depth over speed. We value mastery over hustle. This makes the world feel calmer and more deliberate. But as we look at this successful coexistence, we have to ask, what happened to the DNA that separated us in the first place? Part 5. The Hybrid Horizon. Chapter 14. The End of Purity. The genetic mystery of the Neanderthal cities has finally been solved. In our contemporary era, there are no pure sapiens or pure Neanderthals left. 40,000 years of living, working, and loving together means we are all hybrids. The most successful world leaders, the greatest scientists, and the most talented artists all seem to have a perfect 50-50 split of DNA. This is the sight, the ability to combine the abstract imagination of the sapien with the high-definition processing of the Neanderthal. We didn't just share the world, we became a new one. Chapter 15. The Human Mirror Reflected. As we look into the human mirror one last time, we realize that the Neanderthals didn't go extinct in our timeline because they were weak. They were just unlucky with the climate. In this alternate world, they proved to be the missing half of the human soul. They gave us stability, night vision, and the strength to build for eternity. We gave them language, the stars, and the ambition to keep moving. Together, we are a species that can survive anything. The high stakes of history weren't about who was better, but about whether we were smart enough to work together. Chapter 16. The Final Choice. Thank you for exploring this twin-species world with us. The story of the Neanderthals who stayed reminds us that diversity isn't just a modern ideal, it's an evolutionary superpower. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments, because this is the ultimate question of our identity. If you could choose, would you rather live in our world as the lonely masters of the planet with all our individual freedoms, or would you trade it for the world of the twin species, where you are physically outmatched and your every emotion is revealed by your scent, but you live in a world of absolute honesty, stability, and ancient strength? Which version of human is truly better? Join the discussion in the comments.